What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Eraser, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and directed by Chuck Russell. Now, I'm going to say it off the bat. I think Eraser is one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's most underrated and most underappreciated movies of the 1990s. I think this movie is really good. It's not a perfect movie by any stretch of the imagination, and it's not a movie that's going to stick out in Arnie's overall filmography. But to itself, I think Eraser encapsulates the good within what that Arnie has as both as an actor and an action hero. And you have a director in Chuck Russell who understood that, and I like the approach he took with this movie. I like the overall feel of Eraser. It feels like an 80s movie, but with a 90s edge to it because everything feels updated, everything feels fresh. And not only that, I think the character of John Kruger, the Eraser, he's one of Arnold's most underappreciated characters. I like the character of John Kruger. I like the mysterious quality that John Kruger has as a character. We don't know much about him. We just know that he's good at one thing. He's good at erasing the identities of his clients in order to protect them. And in that instance, John Kruger he's great. He's a badass. And Arnie plays him as such, but also with the right amount of mysteriousness to it. But also, Arnie is backed by a really good supporting cast that includes James Caan, Vanessa Williams, and Robert Pistoli. And I think all three of them played their roles exceptionally well. I think James Caan as the villain DeJordan, who is Kruger's mentor and eventual villain of the movie. I thought James Caan played the role really well. I like the on-screen chemistry with him and Arnie. I like the fact that they are friends, and that I like the fact that they are friends, and it's the James Caan's character ends up double crossing Arnie for a much more bigger for to heighten the conspiracy a little bit, and I thought that was well handled and well done. The character of Lee Cullen, which pretty much the character of Lee Cullen sets the events of this movie into motion because she uncovered something that could pretty much bring down some very important players in the Washington D.C. area, which is that the government is hoarding some very special super weapons that can cause mass destruction, and the company that she works for, Cyrez, is in bed with this certain project, and because Lee knows this, DeJordan, played by James Caan, he's in bed with those people, and so he pretty much wants to protect his own ass and everyone else that he's involved with. So that's why they're all after Lee, and they want the information that Lee has. And I think Vanessa Williams did a good job in the role. I think her and Arnie have a really good chemistry with one another, and they also have a lot of good scenes with one another. And I think one of the things that's missing from that relationship is that this movie wanted to do a little bit of a romantic angle with these two, but it restrains itself from pushing that envelope. And I think the movie could have benefited a little more if throughout the movie these two did develop a little bit of a romance with one another. I think that would have added more to the John Kruger character, and it would have added more to Lee's character as well. But the movie restrains itself, though it does a lot of hinting and teasing that maybe they're going to go down that road. Especially this really nice fireplace scene between the two after Kruger saves Lee from an attack. And they share a nice little moment during the fireplace, and they have some good moments peppered throughout the movie as well. But most of the movie is just Kruger trying to protect Lee at all costs. In that instance, it's fine, but I think it could have benefited just a little bit more from a romantic hook. The action sequences in this movie, to me, are all really well done. I like Chuck Russell's visual style. He handles his action sequences with glee, with the right amount of spectacle, but also with the right amount of groundedness. And I think he handles it really well. The practical effects work in this movie are utterly fantastic. Some of the CGI can be very janky in a lot of areas, particularly this one scene where Lee and Kruger are running from a bunch of alligators in a zoo. I mean, it's a great scene to itself, but the CGI on the alligators look kind of janky in a lot of areas. So it's kind of like, well. But there are also some CGI scenes that do work, and I think they worked really well. So it's kind of a mixed bag. In certain areas, the CG works. In certain areas, it looks like a PS1 graphic. It's a give and take for the time period. Though there are movies that came out before this that handled their CGI much better. So yeah, the production value of this movie is great. Chuck Russell brings a grounded realism to this movie, but also gives it a certain amount of grittiness as well. The action sequences are all very entertaining and very fun to watch. Specifically, the scenes at the zoo, which is good stuff, and the entire end sequence where Kruger takes down DeJour in like a shipyard, pretty much. Now, one of my unsung favorite heroes of this movie is the character of Johnny C, played by Robert Pistoli. I thought Pistoli as Johnny C is utterly hilarious. I love his comedic timing and sense of humor, and I like I like how this movie brings him back near when it gets to the third act, because we see him in the prologue where he gets erased by Kruger. He gets erased by Kruger and goes into protection, and then we see him come back again in the third act, and it kind of gives the movie a reinvigoration and an energy to it, and I love it a lot. And I thought the Johnny C character to me is one of the unsung heroes of this movie, and I thought Pistoli was just utterly hilarious. Again, I love his dry sense of humor, his comedic timing, and I just love the fact that he's playing a typical wise guy, but it's almost like a parody of a wise guy. It works for me, and I like it a lot. And again, I like the scenes that he and Arnie within, though I could have done with a lot more of them, because I thought those two had an untapped comedic chemistry with one another. So yeah, oh yeah, and James Cromwell also makes an appearance in this movie. He's actually Lee's boss at the Ceres company who shoots himself. So yeah, yeah. So pretty much those are just my quick thoughts on Eraser. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. It ain't one of Arnie's best action movies, but it's a good action movie, and I like it better than his more lackluster ones. I think this movie fits perfectly in that range of Arnie movies where it's good, where it's really, really good, but it's not as good as his other works like a Total Recall or The Terminator. But for what Eraser is, great action movie, highly recommended. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Eraser. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe. Ooh, and I'll check you back next time for more.